All right. Good morning. Welcome to day 14 of my Game Boy game, Reaper Boy. I made a bunch of progress yesterday with the code input, but I'm really struggling with entering the codes back in, and a lot of this is just like UX issues where I'm trying to just figure out what is the best way to let people enter in codes, but make sure that the levels that they, the levels they create are valid. So I'm gonna do a little bit of pattern matching by hand. I was trying to get my little tool here to generate out a matrix of which patterns match with which, but it's not working. And I think what we're gonna do is I'm probably just gonna use Aseprite. Let me make a new canvas. We're just going to make this 2000 by 2000. And I was going to bring in, okay, here's the game. So the progress that I made yesterday is, let me draw a platform to catch him on. So we can place the enemy anywhere we can place the player anywhere we want. We can also place enemies now. And we can do full platforms like this. But what we now can do, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. What we can do now is we can hit select and we can switch into code mode. And now we could put in a code for each platform. But the issue that I'm dealing with is something like this. Like this pattern here shouldn't be allowed because we can't have any platforms that are just a single tile. So there's a couple ways that I can solve this. I mean, one of the ways I could solve it is by actually just making a single tile platform, but that opens up a whole world of that adds way more patterns to it than I want to deal with. The other way is to come up with a sort of matching system. So what I'm thinking of doing is that when you get into a scenario like this, where it creates this pattern, I wanted to change the pattern next to it in order to match it up. So like in this case, there's another platform here. Like, so this 2 platform would be right here. So basically what would happen is it would draw, actually if I switch out of this and come here, it would automatically draw a platform there and join the 2. And I have some ideas on how to do this, but I need to map it out, and I'm not having an easy time piecing it together, or at least having the code do it. So I think this is one of those things where I'm just going to have to like sort of jump in manually. And what I want to do is let's create a grid. We're going to make the grid 8 by 8, and I'm just going to draw out each of these patterns real quick. So let's do this. Let's make a boundary. The patterns are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 2. Oops, I meant to draw a box. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 2. And then we'll just do this as border. And then what we're going to do below it is we'll create a new layer. And we're just going to fill in these tiles. So, for example, the first pattern is just going to be this. And what we'll do from there is I'm just going to map out each of these patterns. So there are, I believe there's 21 patterns. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K is 11. Is 11. So that's 12. I think that's 11 plus 10. I think that's 21. So we just need to make all these patterns real quick. And this is what I'm just going to knock out. Because sometimes it just helps to see this stuff visually. So we're going to create a matrix for each one of these patterns. I don't know why it did this like this. Hold on, let's fix this real quick. Because what we're doing is we're gonna have 1, 2, oh, we need a lot more. I want to make a background here because this is just too hard to see. Actually, let me make this a lighter color or something. This is, oops. There we go. All right, that's a little bit better. You know what? I think I want to do this a little bit different because we're just going to be. I want to actually make this 4 by 4, and this will just allow us to get more. This will allow us to get more patterns in a single row. So let's just do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. It might just be easier to do it this way. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 12. And then this will be 18. And then we just need, we just need 19, 20, and 21. In fact, what I'm going to do is let's just anchor this over here. And this way I can just sort of see the patterns a little bit better. And then I'm just going to draw them real quick. So let's delete all this. Delete, delete, delete. Layers. Delete. Layer. And then let's create a new... Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to draw the pattern inside of... no, we'll do it... Hold on. These are the borders. For some reason, my brain didn't want to spell borders correctly. And then here, we're just going to go through every single pattern really quick. And I think I can just do this with a brush. We'll make this 4 pixels. And we'll change this to square. There we go. All right, so let's start with 0. This is 1. Whoops, I am doing this incorrectly. Okay, that's 1. This is 2. This is 3. 4. 5. Oops, I forgot 6. 6. 7. Yeah, this is one of those times where I wish that I could write a script that would do this, but I think I need to just map it out in my head because I'm not understanding how I really want this to work. So we're just going to prototype. We can't let AI do everything or else we'll have nothing left to do. I was actually trying to think of somebody who didn't know as much development as I did could use Copilot and do all the stuff that I've been doing in order to build out a Game Boy game. Sort of to figure out how much am I cheating, air quotes. But I mean, I've been building games for decades now, so I have this knowledge like in my head, so I know exactly what I need to tell the AI. I know how I want to architect things, how to map it out, and I see it screws up a lot. Like it really just doesn't understand some of the subtlety or the I'm trying to think what the word is. It doesn't always just get what you need it to do. And without that knowledge of like years of development, I don't know if you'd be able to rely on it fully. Okay, so we now have all the patterns. And what we're going to do is we're going to rebuild this matrix here, but we have to do this in 2 different ways. So I'm going to take these 2 things and I'm going to merge them down. And then we're going to take... I'm trying to think of how I want to do this because there are... let me copy this and make a new layer. Whoops. That's not good. Boo. I did this incorrectly. That's fine. We'll just flatten these layers. We'll make a new layer. We'll put this here. We'll use our wand to get all of the blue. We'll delete that. Then we'll select all, find that bluish gray, and now we're back to this is the background. And then this is the flattened, so these are the patterns. And then what we're going to do is, for each one, I think I'm just going to copy the pattern and move it over and see which ones fit where. What I would like to do is, I would like to give each one of these an ID. So let's see, where's text? We'll just use Arial. That didn't work how I wanted it to. First off, we need to make, oh, you know what, I know, why don't we do this? We'll just use we'll use the actual sprites. Open recent, we want our meta tile set, and I'm just going to use this. We'll copy over both of these because I think I'm going to do a match. I want to do the number ID and then the letter, but I don't know. Let's see how I feel about that real quick. Oh, these are so big. I forgot that we had shrank this down. There's no way this is going to work. First off, it won't even let me. Yeah, that's garbly-goop. Okay. Oops. Let's do this. Trying to undo my changes here. Alright, I think the other way to do it is going to be, let's change the grid here. We'll make this 8 by 8. And we need to make this, let's get rid of the snap for a second, put this in the right position. And now we're going to copy, and we'll just paste each one of these patterns down. This will be a little time consuming, but actually I'm just going to move them. There's no reason to copy paste. So now this is going to give me a exact matching of each of the patterns that are in the game. So the way that I compress the background is that I divide the tile map up into 5x2 grids, and I assign each possible layout to a number, but because we're using single characters, it's a little bit of a hybrid hex counting system, whereas hex goes up to F for 16. We just keep going. So G, H, I, J, and K. Okay. So, I'm going to take all of this now. We'll cut it out of here, and then into the patterns, we're just going to repaste it back. So now the patterns are a match with the characters that they belong to. Now, what we can do is I'm going to take each one of these. I need to go back to 8x8. Or 4x4, I mean. 4x4. Actually, yeah, we can do 4x4. That's fine. I was going to say, we can actually do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me see. What is this? This is 28x8. (28 by 8). Why can't I move this? What's going on here? The only other thing I was thinking of doing was maybe putting each one of these on their own layer. This way I can turn on and off. So let's do this for a second. I'm gonna delete this for right now. Oops, we can just delete it here. And then I'm going to, I think I'm going to put all these on their own layers. This will be a little bit time consuming, but let's do this. First off, let's save this as GB Studio Assets Reaper Boy Pattern Matching. And then the easiest way to do this might just be to make a whole bunch of copies of it, and then can I copy out something that's locked? Alright, so at least I can copy out something that's locked. Right? Because now, there we go. Okay. So this is going to be pattern K. And I'll show you, the reason why I'm going to do this is that if I at least keep all the patterns on their same layer, I can turn them on and off a little bit easier. So just bear with me as I copy each of these over. Actually, what we can do is this. I can do it this way. Let me go back and get... If you hold down Command-Shift-C, we should be able to... There we go. Get that going. All right. Actually, we'll name them later. I'm glad there's only 21 of these. Right, let's make sure this is still working. There we go. All right, once we have this done, then I can start piecing together. I don't know how much, I don't think I'm gonna get a lot done on this stream today, because I think a lot of it's just going to be thinking through this problem. Let's see. D. All right, A. Let's paste all these down. Sorry, not much to talk about while I do this task. Luckily, we're almost done. I'll just label them correctly so we don't screw things up. This would have been so much easier if ChatGPT did what I asked it to do. I sort of find myself getting really annoyed when I use the AI tools and then they just can't figure something out, and then I'm like, oh, fine, I'll come in and do it myself. It actually reminds me of managing. I always joke around with my friends that the AIs are they're like junior devs. They're very opinionated. They're very sure of themselves. They think they have the answers to all these problems, and a lot of the times you just have to jump in and do it yourself. Let's see. So okay. So now we have all these. Let me just label all of them. This is pattern 0. And in fact, let's do this. Let's get rid of this. And I'm actually going to, we'll go do these one at a time just to make sure that they actually worked. So now, this is pattern 1. This is pattern 2. Pattern 3. Ugh, I lost my mouse. Come on, give me my mouse back. Oops. Pattern. My Mac keeps stealing my mouse back, and I don't want that. What are we on? Pattern 4. Also, I just want to make sure that we match these things up. For these two tiles, great. We can bring this back in so that we can see what we're doing. Pattern 5. Pattern 6. I'm just going to try to do this a little faster. Pattern 7. Pattern 8. Pattern 9. Pattern A. Pattern B, pattern C, pattern D, pattern E, pattern E, F, G, H, I, J, and K. And let me just put all these in a group real quick. Can I not make a new group? I like how it just took some of them, but not all of them into the group. Okay. Is it, but what's going on here? Why don't you like putting all these into the group? Is this like is this an Asoprite bug? Like, I've never seen this before where it's getting the first and the last. I see what's going on. There we go. Okay. JK, fine, we can get rid of these patterns. And now we have this pattern. Oh, it didn't do what I really wanted it to do. We'll hide these patterns, and now 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We don't have 21. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to, whoops. So let's start with pattern 0. Now, pattern 0 isn't going to work with everything. So, like, pattern 0 will work with pattern 0. I was just trying to think if we, hold on. Let me clean this up one more time. 8 by 8. I was just trying to think if I should put I'm just trying to figure out how to make this matrix real quick, so just bear with me for a second while I... Alright, yeah, all these are going to be wrong. So what we can do is, instead of doing it this way, why don't we do it... Shoot. You know, in hindsight, what we should have just done was... we should have just done this. Let me see if I can... Edit, grid, settings. I think it was 24. Or was it 28? There we go, 28. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this a different way. I'm going to, let's get rid of the snapping. Oops, that turned it on. Oh my god, there's like way too much to work with here. I want to get rid of this. I want to hide this group and delete. Whoops, let's get back. Ugh. And we'll delete all these. Okay. So now we have all of this, and then what we're going to do is in the opposite direction. I'm just going to go through each one of these and delete. Whoops. Ugh, do I do this for every single one of them? Oh, thank God. Okay. All right, let's just do this. I was like, man, if I had to sit here and do this for every single one of them, I'm going to go nuts. So let's just select all these. Basically what I'm doing is I'm just going to get rid of the... I'm just going to get rid of the numbers on this side of things so that we can have the labeling outside of these patterns. Alright, that didn't work how I wanted it to. I guess we'll just go back here and select all these again. I was just thinking, I wonder if I hit the group, if that would have done it, but here we go. Okay, now, originally I was trying to keep it where at least the pattern name was with it, but this is just going to be a lot quicker and a lot easier. So, the only other thing I want to do real quick is let's go back into the grid. Let's modify this to 8 by 8, and then we're going to lay out the... let me copy this, make a new layer, paste it. Oops. We'll paste this. We're going to call this matrix X, which are the rows. And we're going to call this one matrix Y. We're going to delete this. And here, all we're going to do is move, oops, this into here. And now, if we snap the grid, I'll be able to just pull each one of these numbers out. So we can do 0, 1. I'm going to probably have to rearrange these. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. 6. So a lot of the times this is what I wind up doing, is that I know at a high level what I want to do, but I need to visual. I'm a visual learner, and I was trying to get ChatGPT to do it, but it wasn't understanding the nuance. That's the word I was looking for earlier. It doesn't understand the nuance of what I'm trying to do. So I'm just going to have to do this manually. So let's just stop there for a second. And now I just want to go in and now I can take something like pattern 0, I can copy it and I can put it, I'm just trying to see how these match up. Yeah, there's like a weird offset, but I want this because at least it gives me this gaps. Okay, so this works here. Here's basically what we're going to do. We're going to draw this every place that we know it works. Now, the one thing to keep in mind is that we're only looking for right patterns right now. Theoretically, we might be able to flip it. That actually, ChatGPT or Claude or whatever I'm using might be able to figure that out. I just need to give it the real example, like, hey, this is what, this is how these match up, or how I see them matching up. Now you can go through and fix the problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 0 next. I'm going to put this next to every single one of these that it's valid for. And what makes it valid is that we can always put, whenever there's nothing, we can always put nothing next to anything, with the exception of like these guys. So like this is invalid, this is valid. The reason why is we can't have a platform that only has one one tile at its corners. So here this is valid, but here this is not valid. This is valid, this is valid, and this is valid. Right? So now we have all the zeros. Now let's go and try 1. I'm going to lock this so we don't screw it up. So now 1 is technically, whoops. 1 is technically valid here. But there is really no other, I mean, I guess like 1 is not valid here for sure. 1 could be valid here. 1 could be valid here. Some of these are going to be just valid with everything. The only place where it's not going to be valid, oops, is going to be where there's a where there's like only one tile. See, like this wouldn't be valid because you couldn't match up you can't match up this to this because there's no matching piece here. But We can match it here. We can match it here. We can match it here. Here. For the most part, we should be able to match it up with almost all of the ones that the 0 matches up with. But it's going to start getting a little bit weird because now let's go to 2. And let's see where, oops, copy, paste. We'll lock this layer down. I want to lock all these ones down as well so we don't mess things up. All right, so we'll come back up here, make sure we're in pattern 2. We're going to copy it and we're going to paste it down. So pattern 2 is very much paired up with this. And in fact, what I want to get it to is this idea that if you create pattern 1, if the tile next to you has to become any of the ones that match up with tile 1 or tile 2 in this case. So let me actually paste this down again. So so this matches. Oh, you know what I'm doing? Like an idiot, I am looking at this when I really need to be looking at this. So let's do this. Let's hide. Oops, can't do that either. All right, we'll just have to use our brains. So these two match. This one doesn't. This one matches. This one doesn't. This one doesn't. This one doesn't. This one does. This one does. Doesn't. Doesn't. Does. Doesn't. Does. 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 And does. All right, so now we are starting to at least get a handle on things. Let's lock this one down. Let's do 3. And we'll move this over to here. So this works here. This does not work here. This works here. Works here, 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 here. Does not work here. Works here, 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 here. Does not work here. Works here. Does not work here. Works here. Does not work here. Works here and works here. All right, so the pattern that I'm starting to figure out really is that it really just comes down to if well, I think what we have to do is we have to look at the corners or the left and the right edge. And we need to see that if the left, let's start with the right, because we're doing it. If the right edge has 1, it can only match up with either empty or something else that has 1. I think that's what we need to think through here. Let's... Ugh, I don't think this is working anymore. Let me reload this. All right, I'm going to feed this back into ChatGPT. Let's see if we can give it this rule. Okay. All right. Here is how I want the matrix matching to work. You look at each pattern's bottom right and bottom left. If a pattern has a block in the bottom left, it can if a pattern has a single block in the bottom left, meaning no block to its immediate left. Wait, I'm mixing these up. In the bottom right, meaning no block to its immediate left. It can only match up with patterns that have a block of any size in the bottom left or is empty in the bottom left. If the bottom right, these should favor that also. Let's see what it does with this matrix real quick. You update this code to see if this improves the matching. All right, otherwise matching process is normal. The matching match for complex, the compute the matrix. I always want you to return full code. I feel like I say this every time, and ChatGPT's like, hey, sure, whatever. I'm just going to do what I feel like doing. Only because I'm just using this CodePen, which is not great for actually editing anything. So I don't want to go here and try to like find and replace. I just want to be able to copy and paste this entire thing in. And I think this is just sort of the way you have to like work through some of these problems. Is that first off, I need to like visually see what's going on, and I don't need to do it for all of it. I just need to get a baseline, like a good sense of it, and then I can start understanding the patterns, figuring out the rules, and then at least then I can give some guardrails to ChatGPT in this case. Let's paste this here, and this should recalculate the matrix. Let me clear all these. I wonder if there's a way of visualizing this. The problem is that 0 works fine with G, A, B, and C. So the fact that it's not matching up with that, unless I'm looking at this the wrong way. No, 0, it should go both ways. 0, 0 matches 1, 1 would never match. 1, 2 would never match. Okay, I don't think this is working. Here are the patterns. Versus what you are giving me, patterns and the matrix. Let's focus just on 0. 0 also matches up with, like, 0 can match up with, well, what do we have here? 0 matches up with 0, 3, so let's tell it this stuff. 0 should match up with, oops, should match up with 0, 3, actually, it could match up with 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A, B, C, D, F, H, J, and K. All right, let's see what ChatGPT has to say for itself, because I may just want to go through each one of these one by one and start matching them together. Then we can either be empty or filled. We need to relax that logic for empty patterns. No, 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 not at all. If the pattern is empty, it only matches. Wait. It only matches other patterns that have an empty bottom left or at least 2 bottom left tiles. We are taking a pattern and matching the right side to the left of the other pattern. So the only rule to follow is that I think I have a better way of doing this. I think the better way of doing it is that I think we need to just match up each one of them and just go across the rows and see if the rule follows up. So the only rule to follow is that all right, so the only rule, okay. You know what, I want to redo this in a different chat because I think this one's just getting a little long in the tooth. Here's what we're going to do. I need help fixing this matrix that matches up each platform. I want to find all of the possible matching patterns to the right of the current pattern. There are two rules for platforms. A platform needs to be at least 2 tiles wide and cannot be more than 8 tiles long. So I need you to go through each pattern, look at the bottom 2 tiles and match them up. Oh no, wait, I didn't want to do it this way. I want to do it, so to complete this matrix, I want my mouse back. Come on, give me my mouse back, Mac. Ugh. He really loves stealing my mouse while I'm in the middle of the stream. Come on. Give me my mouse. There we go. All right. So to complete this matrix, I want you to go through each pattern, place another pattern next to its right side, then run through the bottom row left to right and validate that when both patterns are together, the platforms are at least 2 wide and no more than 8 wide. If these rules do not match, then the neighbor pattern fails and is not checked in the matrix. Here is here's the pattern array for you to look at, and I've included the JavaScript code. I want you to always return the fully updated JS code so I can copy and paste it back into my CodePen test. All right, so this is all the JavaScript. What I need to do now is come here and get all the patterns. And let's see how this works. So a lot of the pattern matching I'm doing like on the fly on the Game Boy's hardware. And my concern is that as this gets more and more complicated, especially when I start doing random level generation, it's just too much for the Game Boy to handle. So by pre-calculating as many of these patterns as we can ahead of time and using lookup tables, we can simplify the logic considerably. All right. While it does this, I'm going to take a quick break. I need to get some more water and lower my desk, and then I'll come back, and I have about an hour left to stream. So for the next hour, we'll go through, and I'm just going to see if we can get this tool to build out the matrix correctly so that I can use that later on when I have some more time to work on the game engine. So I will be right back. Okay, let's see what ChatGPT has generated for us. My money's on it not working, but I'm always a pessimist. Yeah, hey, look, it just didn't work at all. What is going on here? Why is this so bad? Good, let's fix it properly. Well, why don't you just give it to me properly? Result chase, because the check only validates the combined bottom rows with, but not the joined patterns actually producing patterns. It also never considers the result has any platforms at all. So why didn't you give me, oh my God, I swear I told you to give me full code. Because now when I go into this stupid editor, it doesn't, there's no way to like do multiple searches. Fine, let's just replace this with this. All right, now it's not matching anything. Let me switch models. ChatGPT has just gone like so downhill. Like it's just so inconsistent each day. It really fails so much now, and it's so hard to just get it working. I'm just like so baffled. Like, this is not complicated. I'm just lazy and don't feel like sitting here and manually matching every one of these patterns. But if I have to, then I will, because this is just ridiculous. I have a feeling I'm going to wind up having to do this by hand. So while this figures itself out, I'm just going to move this over, and I think I'm just going to start creating my own matrix. I think I just had a better idea of how to actually match all these up. So let me put all these into the right place, and we'll just do it by hand for right now, because I can't deal with this. All right, let's copy and paste this in and see what happens. Oh my God. Are you even testing this correctly? I want you to take the bottom row from each pattern. So the last 5 chars, then match it with another pattern's last 5 chars. Then go from left to right through the pattern and validate there isn't a single one surrounded on both sides by 0, and that there isn't more than 8 ones in a row starting on the left. All right, let's go back to this way of doing it now. So what I was thinking of doing was instead of starting with the first and going backwards, I was going to start with the last and then get to the first. This way I can always match them up here, and then I'll copy the whole row over. So I think I'm just going to do it this way, even though yeah, we'll just redo it. It's fine. I don't care. I want to let's do this. This. And I'm just going to select all of this and delete it. Why didn't this delete? All right, whatever. Lock these back down. All right, let's see if this actually corrected itself. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's like just not listening. So, okay, fine. Forget it. We don't need it. We're just going to do it live. Let's copy this, and we're going to do it here. All right, so even though it says 0, this is really k, and we're going to look to see where this fits. So it fits here, it fits here, it fits here. So this is 1, 2, 3, this is 5, 6, 7. It fits here, it fits here, 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 but it doesn't fit here because this is 4, 5, so that's 9, so it doesn't work, but that works. This works. This works. This works. This works. This works. 1, 2, 5. That works. And this does not work. All right, so I'm going to move all of K to the very end. So we've done K. Now it's J. All right, well, at least I know what I'm doing for the next hour. So this works, 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 this works. Oops. Why does it keep jumping like that? So again, this is 4, 5, 6. That works. That works. That works. That works. That works. 3. That works. That works. 5, 6, 7. All right, it's going to work everywhere except for... Wait, does this one work with everything? This is 4, 5, 6. Yeah, because if this is 5, 6, 7, if 7 works, then it's going to work anywhere because it's underneath the cap. All right, so we'll move this over here to J. Let's lock this and go to I. So all these should work. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. This should work with every single one. All right, this is super fun, and we get to do it for the left side too. I mean, this is just, honestly, this is just how it's done when AI doesn't do it for you. I was just moving these up a row. All right, let's go to H. All right, so that one worked there. That works there. This works here. This works. This works. All right, this works. So I'm trying to just wrap my head around how to articulate this to the AI. It's like what we want to do is we want to match up we really want to match up the bottom 2 tiles to the other 2 tiles. All right, let me try this a different way. Let me see if all right. Let's do it this. I'm going to start a new chat here too. All right, we'll just have every AI ask it. Okay. I want to create a look-up table of matching patterns. A pattern can match with another pattern on its right or left side as long as there is no single tile platform. There, the other limitation is that if 2 patterns together create a single platform that is more than 8 tiles long, that wouldn't be valid either. Can you create a markdown file as we explore how to build this lookup table before implementing the code? Just to recap, if a tile is blank next to a single tile, so, all right. Here are some edge cases to consider. If a pattern if the current pattern has an empty tile at the end of the platform, the last 5 chars in the pattern, it should only be able to match up with platforms that have an empty tile at the beginning, or the platform has at least 2 tiles, meaning the empty tile at the end of the first pattern needs a empty pattern, an empty tile next to it, or a 2 tile or more platform. Oh my god, how many other ways can I say it? If there is one tile at the end of the platform, meaning the current pattern ends with 0, 1, it should only be able to match up with patterns that have at least sorry, hold on. It's like this mic is super sensitive, so I was realizing when I'm trying to rub my eye and it goes right across the mic, you just all hear that at home. All right. So the current pattern ends with 01. It should only be able to match up with patterns that have at least one tile at the beginning. Meaning that the last row of the right pattern needs to start with 1. If a pattern, all right, let's see if, I want to see what it just comes up with, and then we'll iterate from there. While it does that, I don't know if I want to keep doing this because this is boring me. Let me go back into the Game Boy game for a second, and let's... Oh wait, here it's already done it. Created a markdown file. Open this file. Oh, here we go. All right. Pre-compute. Once the rules are valid, generate a pre-compute lookup table. Implement rules engine. That's actually pretty... I do like the way that it creates these documents. Can you create a matrix in the markdown file that shows all the right side matches? I'll analyze the patterns to create a compatibility matrix showing which patterns can be placed to the right of each pattern. Let me first examine the pattern data more closely. Because what I'm thinking of doing is, as you create a level, it should always be trying to auto-correct itself. Now, normally I wouldn't do a lot of this ahead of time. Maybe I'd let you draw out what you wanted, then it would sort of clean it up. Part of the problem this comes down to, the Game Boy is limited, and I need to start doing this on like a pattern by pattern, like a quadrant by quadrant like basis. So like 1 and 2 match, 3 and 2 match, 4 and 2 match, like, so there's lots of ways of testing this out. Let's see if it created the match. I can't tell what's going on at the end here. Oh, I see what it did. That's interesting. That's an interesting way of handling it. That's not how I would have thought of doing it. It basically is matching these two, this to this. Is there a better way of seeing this? So you have pattern IDs on the X and Y axis, and you simply add a check for the two that match up in the matrix. If I can get my mouse back, here we go. Yeah, a cleaner grid format with pattern IDs on both axes would be much more readable. When you update the matrix, use a standard coordinate system. The other way that I could do this, if I really want to do this manually, is that I can create a tool that I select a pattern and then I try to place another pattern next to it, and it just gives me a green light if it's correct. So what I'm curious about is, why does my this is so much to deal with. Let's go over this way. So C oh my god. You are not using the pattern name. You use the 0 through K codes, and I'm seeing that K isn't a match between C and K. Yeah, I don't buy its matrix. It's not like even this one. Well, this did everything. This did everything. Okay, maybe it's. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I need to check for the platform length violations and use the Zootic. It is kind of impressive when it runs the stuff in its head. But it's less impressive when it just doesn't work. It's a terrible table. Let's close this out. Let's close this out. And let's see what it does here. All right, let's see. Where is the... Wait, pattern lookup table. Oh, I see what it did here. Okay. The K matches up with 7. Why does it think that K doesn't match up with 7? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, look at that. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 7. So it should be C. Maybe I was off by 1? No. 9, 10, 11, 12. I don't understand. I screwed up something. Maybe. Oh my god, my brain's not working with this. This is not correct. Let's do this. I'm just going to implement this matrix, and then how can we so we can fix patterns on the left and right of the current pattern the user is editing. For example, if the user enters in, let's see, if the user enters in 1, for the level char, the right can only be other pattern, can only be other matching, can only be, what was it for 1? Let's take a look here. For 1, the only other ones that match for 1 are going to be I gotta write this down. Pattern 1 matches are 2, 4, 8, 5, 8, A, D, E, F, G, H, I. Yeah, this is a terrible place for me to be writing this. I, J, K. When I ask it if it understands, it always says it understands. That's the that part is stupid because it never knows. It never admits when it's wrong. Wait. I don't want to suggest valid patterns. I just want it to update a neighbor pattern. But it needs to be... You know, what I wonder if... I still think that there's a better way of doing this. I'm just trying to think in my head of how... You know, I really want to reset this. I want to... Hold on. Because I don't think this is... I think I'm going to clear... I think I'm going to try this a different way. Because it really should be... This is just like so overly complicated. All right, clear. Let me just make sure this compiles. Like, really, all it needs to do is it just needs to do what I was telling it originally, which is anytime you put a letter in, it just needs to paint the tiles. And that just means that if it gets to something where there's 1 at the end, cancel build. What's going on here? Oh, I don't think this exists. Let me delete this event. Maybe I shouldn't have just reset it. I don't remember what I reset it to, but it's fine. I'll just redo the code. All right. Let's catch this guy. Yeah, it really should be that if it tries to paint a platform here, it just winds up spilling over to the next one. And that if it tries to draw a single pattern here... Alright, we're just going to have some weird edge cases. So let me try this a different way. Alright. I want to clean up the way patterns are drawn when entering a code. Once the letter is entered, it should look up that pattern and begin drawing. Actually, you know what? Well, yeah, let's do... Okay, all right. I had some other ideas, too, at the same time. So, all right, it should look up that pattern and begin drawing with the same brush logic the user does when editing the tile map. This means that patterns which end in a single empty tile will draw a second empty tile next to a pattern with no tile should draw 2 tiles to complete the platform, just like if the user was manually painting, and both block codes are updated. All right, that's going to be a little bit more complicated for it to do, but I think that really is the best solution at this point. And it's sort of what I was trying to do originally, but I don't think I fully fleshed it out, is that it really just needs to use the same exact painting system as what the user would do. All the code is doing is just automating it. So instead of the user manually putting a tile down, this one does it for it. So now I need to understand how the level code is currently applied and decoded. Let me search for any coding of patterns. All right, it's going to do its thing. In a little bit, I have to end my stream, so I have to head out to Long Island for the day, and out to my office. But I'm going to be streaming all weekend because I want to wrap this game up. This is like my last weekend. I'm already at day 14, which is 7 days over the time I thought it would take me. But we do have the player. So I think, yeah, I did limit it so you can only change the player to a position where they belong. And I guess in my mind, really what I'm trying to do this level code is it's just going to be a very fast way of building a level. And because of that, I'll be able to generate out random levels a little bit easier by just making matches of codes. That's sort of where my head was at with the other pattern matching stuff. I'm going to have to come back to that because it's too complicated. Alright, this includes errors. Now let me implement the new function that applies patterns using the same brush logic as manual painting. If it can figure this out, the stream won't be a total loss. I hate these days where I don't have a lot of time to work on these projects and I can't get anything done. Especially because yesterday I made so much progress. Like it's so close now. I need to update the entry function. Yes, continue. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm just reading through what it's doing here. Perfect. Function is already declared. However, I need to ensure that when applying patterns with the brush logic, the level code also updates to reflect the new platform. Let me check if this function. Great, the function is declared in Paint. It's like, you know what it should do? I wonder if I should just have it manually go through and paint the last row from left to right. But we'll see what it does here. I tend to like worry when it's doing too much of this stuff that it doesn't actually it's not actually doing what I need, and it's just creating more problems than I want. Oh my God. See, now it's going off the rails. It's now looking for how to fully load the level. See, this is the other thing I've noticed with Copilot is that it starts like, it's like, hey, let me give you some more stuff. Like, you didn't ask for any of this code, but I'm just going to throw it in there anyways. It's super verbose. I think I just have to go into the settings and sort of tweak it. And I have to be clear in my prompts to not go through and edit everything. Or not edit things that are not part of its scope that I've given it. I mean, whatever. If it's coming up with the load logic, I need to do that anyways. I just don't have a system yet for how I want to share these, how I want to store the codes in memory. I hope it'll re-enable this so I can keep whatever the changes it did before it timed out. All right, here we go. Let's keep this. All right, let's take a look now at what happens when we draw. The other thought I had, which I'm going to try to do real quick before I end the stream, is that I want to tell it that there are certain patterns that are just not valid on the edges. But I have a feeling that this is going to, error out. I got an error. I want to see what the file is that it created. It was this. Hopefully this is a quick fix. I just was trying to come up with how I want this to match. So anything like, so 2A, let me write these down. So, so something like 2A, E, F, H, are never valid for any block, any pattern, any block on the far left of the tile map because you can't have a single tile platform on the left, and the same goes to the right. I'm just going to do this real quick while I take a look. Let me actually start this code compiling. Let me go back into Chrome. So now I want to look for everything on the right side. So now patterns 1, 9, E. Let's put this So no patterns. Do you... Oh, did I not keep these changes? Can you implement that without breaking any working code? Alright, I just want to see how this actually works. So if we came here and we switched this to now F G H I J K 1. I don't understand how it's doing this now. 3 is not valid. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So if I do the same thing here, this is 1, 2, doesn't work. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, well, the biggest thing that I was trying to get it not to do was to create platforms where actually, and this should not work either, K and K should not go together. All right. Even have access to those pattern chars when entering the code. All right, I think this is a lot better. Right now, I wanted to just get it to where it actually just removes patterns. Like, so for like right here, this 1 is incorrect. I'm not sure what is actually going on here, because 1 should be a single tile here, because 2 doesn't work, and 3 doesn't work, which is, 3 works, 4 works, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 doesn't work, because it deletes that, fine, but this is no longer 9. You know what? So what I wanted to do is I was hoping to get rid of the letter if you can't even do it, but that wouldn't work either. Because if you go to 9 and it becomes invalid, then you no longer are able to. You'll never get to a place where you can cycle through to the next character. So 1 doesn't work, 2 doesn't work. Well, 2 worked only because of that. Let's go here. I mean, I'm actually fine with it having certain platforms, although E... What is E? Oh, E, right, okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm fine with characters that don't match up. What we need to do then is when we exit the edit mode, we just need to have it clean up the code. And what we might do is we might be able to just do that when we move to the next tile. updates the XY value code I give you to make sure it shows the right code. For example, if we tried pattern 1 and nothing may draw. There's a chance nothing will draw. So when I move to the next code char, it should update that one to the current zone's pattern code. All right, I'm gonna see if this works real quick, where it just won't let me cycle through certain patterns on the edges, and then I'll tell it to do this thing. I just want to see if this compiles before I give it more things to do. And then in a couple minutes, once I just see this, I'm gonna end the stream, and I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm gonna have a lot more time. Tomorrow I'll have like almost the entire day to focus on this game. Let's go to switch mode. So 1 shouldn't be valid. That broke everything. Shoot. Oh wait, no, I know why it broke everything. Because I lost my mouse and I lost my focus to the PC. Come on. Why is it always like this? Yeah, see, it went from 1 to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A. It skipped A. That's not correct. It should have done... So 0, 1. Fine. 2 it can't do. 3 it can do. 4 it can do. 5 it can do. 6 it can do. 7, 8, 9. Yeah, okay. So it skipped this and went straight to this, but that's not the actual solution. I think we need to return. I think we need to get it to restore. All right, the solution to fixing this really is going to be this next prompt, which is that I want to create an event so when I move off of a character, if it is the wrong character, it'll just update itself, and then this way you'll always see the right character. But I want to let the player just throw in whatever characters they want for the code, and we'll clean it up from there. So anyways, I gotta end the stream for today. I know it's a short stream, but tomorrow I will be focusing all day on this. So I'll be streaming as much as I can, and I will see you then. So thanks again for watching.